NewGenGamers.com.
Yeah, after that, we kind of needed to cleanse ourselves a little bit, so we're going to move on to something a little bit more, video game-ish?
Yeah, we wanted to look at some of the early Sega stuff here to start off with, and unfortunately, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker was one of Sega's early games for the Genesis, but here's one of their good ones.
And heavily promoted, by the way.
Of course, because Michael Jackson wanted people to know that he was there to save the children so the children would feel safe so that he could molest them. What a weirdo. Anyway, this is Phantasy Star 2. This was designed by Yuji Naka, also one of Sega's most prolific designers, behind Yu Suzuki, and they actually referred to him as U2 in some of the credits for some of the games. So, you know, the two of them are regarded very highly in Sega and really helped get them to where they were. So, this is definitely a lot more graphically impressive than Phantasy Star 1 was. A lot more animation. Your user interface is cleaned up a little bit, and you've got some icons.
Yeah, it looks good. We are victorious.
And as we've talked about the Phantasy Star series before in this video series, it's a blend of science fiction and fantasy together in one game, which we usually don't see because that's kind of the idea of having two different kinds of lore, is that they're different. But Yuji Naka and company felt they needed to be put together, so there you go. It's a really great series, though. Overall, all the games have been pretty good.
Now, all the games in this series tie together. The first four of them, I think they all have a continuing storyline of some sort.
To a degree, yeah. And Phantasy Star 4, which we won't be looking at, was definitely the best one of the series overall.
And that was on the Genesis, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was just as good as anything Squaresoft did during the time. It was a phenomenal game, and this game's great as well. But 4 really was kind of their best one, on the console.
Now it's interesting here. You get a look at some of the different enemies in this game. You've got your mix between dragons and your science fiction type creatures as well.
Yeah, you're fighting dragons with guns and lasers as well as magical spells, and it's a crazy series.
I'm gonna need to heal Rock here.
But it's like most of your RPGs, you want to go to the menu screen. Here's your item, state, tech,
There's your equipment. Let's see, let's go to... Oh, that's the equipment screen. Let's go to state.
So
there's your status.
Yeah, there you see how the characters are.
See, what do I want to give him? I need a healing item here.
Maybe it's that Trimate. I'm not quite sure what the healing item in this is.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you want to heal, use Trimate.
Yeah.
It's good for what ails you. So
looks like everyone's gonna need a Trimate.
Well, go ahead and just go into some more battles here. And just take a look at it.
Okay. I just don't want to kill everyone off in a battle. We're progressing through this dungeon here. It's funny that we ran into a dead end.
Yeah, and that's another thing that kind of reminds me of Phantasy Star 1. When we took a look at it, it had a first-person view whenever you were inside of the dungeons, and they took that out of the future Phantasy Stars. That was only in Phantasy Star 1. But it was kind of interesting, and that was a technique used in a lot of early RPGs.
Yeah, it kind of gave you that whole dungeon crawling D&D feel.
Yeah.
Whereas this one kind of was a little bit more like the Final Fantasy-esque ones, where it's all top-down view. But, you know, completely different in, you know, other ways. But I would definitely say that... Wouldn't you say that Phantasy Star is probably one of the best RPGs on the Genesis?
I'd say Phantasy Star 4 is the best RPG on the Genesis. Aside from the Shining Force games...
and they were kind of tactical, too.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as traditional Japanese RPG, Phantasy Star 4 was phenomenal. And Nintendo got all the other great RPGs of the era. So... it was kind of a small selection of what was available, and Sega definitely cleaned up with that, and so the Phantasy Star series was prolific on Genesis. Continuing on with Console Wars of the Past Part 3 from NewGenGamers.com, we're looking at an Electronic Arts classic, and this helped forge the Sega and Electronic Arts relationship that we would see for a lot of years. And EA's games came in different cartridges than the other Sega cartridges. They were a little bit bigger and had like a little yellow tab on them, just for something
now,
to note.
Something to notice here is, look at the graphics on this.
Yeah, this is awesome.
This was a 91 game. This was one of the early ones.
Yeah.
So EA was really pushing it.
Yeah, this is really smooth and gives you a real sense of speed. You see the clouds are moving at a different pace than everything else. The background's moving differently. You've got the trees and signs coming at you. So there's a lot going on. You got cars coming at you.
Main thing about Road Rash is you can knock other people off their bikes. That was kind of the whole thing. It was kind of motorcycle combat. Yeah. I know in later versions they kind of added weapons.
Yeah, so this is something a little bit different than the normal racing game.
As you can, I don't know if you can hear the music very well, but it's kind of got that dark synthesis type sound to it, where it's like dun dun dun, like kind of impending doom, John Carpenter-esque.
Go ahead and just... So,
yeah, I was always a big fan of John Carpenter because he did a lot of that dark synth type stuff. Whoa, nice airtime on that. Avoid the car. Coming up on Sid. You can see their names and a power bar of your nearest opponent here.
So, as opposed to a lot of racing games of the time, this doesn't feel like there's stuff just popping in and you're on a blank road. I mean, this seems very busy. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of, you know, things around the side of the road, and you've been busted.
16ビット6メガセガファンタシースター2目を見張るリアルキャラクターツインスクロールメガドライブ対応未体験ロールプレイングゲームファンタシースター2セガ NewGenGamers.com